Studio Time with Ducky.
Okay, welcome to the next Studio Time with Ducky. I thought today we could go over my new track, Jump, that came out today on Rave Tools. So this is like a DJ tool, right? Like this is not like a pop radio track. It is meant for DJing, and I think that's important because one of the things that you guys have been asking me about is like composition. And composition to me, first of all, composition can mean a few different things. Like it can mean like writing musical notes, like a melody, or it can mean more like song structure, like building out a whole thing, or maybe like an overlap with arrangement, which is like arranging all of the parts together, which involves composition, kind of. I don't know. So I haven't been sure exactly how to make a video for that. So I thought what might be helpful is to go over different kinds of tracks and just kind of like how I made them, like how I thought about them, some of my general like rules of thumb, and yeah, and then we can go into like some of the sound design. I thought it would be cool to talk about drop sound design. Sorry, I'm turning off my alarm because I'm awake. Yeah, so let me just play a little bit for you. That's my track Jump, or that's part of it. And I thought we could just start like from the beginning and go through. So first I have this intro, and when you're thinking about like composition, to me like your intention is really important. Like if you're just feeling creative and you have an idea in your head, then I don't think like rules should matter. I think that you should do whatever you want, get it down, and then go from there. But if you are struggling or if you crave some more like structure to work off of, I think understanding where you're writing for is like really helpful. So like, am I writing this to like play on the radio, or am I writing this to DJ? Because if I'm DJing, then I know I need certain things, right? And one of those things, first of all, is an intro that I can mix in with. So that's what I have here. Like this is a Rave tool. It is for DJing. So I have a very simple 16 bar intro. And I like to keep my intros amelodic, meaning there's no like actual melody. I don't always do that, but I think it's really helpful, especially for like DJ tools, because that means that they'll go into anything and not be off key. So I just did like really simple. I like to use Nicky Romero's Kick Designer for drums. I worked off a Psytrance preset and just messed with it. And I use audio samples for almost all of my drums beyond that. There's a lot of different ways to do this. You could use like a drum machine, like battery, or you could use like Ableton Simpler, which is a really simple sampler. But I like dragging the audio in because I feel like it's the most neutral. Like it sounds exactly like the sample that I auditioned. So that's what I do. And I just have like very simple little effects, a little snare roll, and all of this is just stuff to keep like a little bit of motion without overwhelming the section, because it does need to fit into another track. And then I have these little like accent sounds, and the way that I made them is I actually took the sound that I designed for the drop, and then I duplicated it and brought it over here and messed with it. And I think that's a cool trick, or that's something cool to do because it like introduces these sonic elements. So then I feel like what you get is more cohesion throughout the track. So that's something that I'll do a lot, is like I'll design one sound and then I'll duplicate it into a bunch of different things so I can work off of that. So you're getting like progression and it's changing, but it's coming off, like it's working off of the same thing, so it all feels like it fits. Yeah. So here's my little screechy lead. This is a single cycle wavetable that I got from a preset pack. This is the Serum, like, standard default wave. And then I just used a formant filter, which gives the effect of like a vowel, which I thought was cool. Just some little processing. I do think this is a really cool trick, is like modulating the drive or the mix or both on distortion. I think you can get really cool effects that way. Then just like OTT down here, the waves doubler, and then volume shaper, which I've been over in a different video. Volume shaper is basically like really easy to control volume ducking, like kind of how you would do side chaining. Yeah. So I did these little effects. Oh, and this one's cool. I used erosion, which is the Ableton stock effect, set on sine, and that just gives it that like grainy mechanical sound. And I like to automate the frequency, so that's something cool that you can do. And then I have this sort of like sound over here for when the drum drops out. And you can see I did the same thing. I also used erosion. And I also worked off of my like original sound that I had designed for the drop. And then I just did a FabFilter Pro Q EQ, and I have a high pass on, and then I automated the frequency of the high pass to kind of like bring it in. Another good thing too to think about when like you're arranging is like not having everything just be chunks. I think that there's a really cool sonic effect to having like a sharp transition where everything is different, right? If you're thinking about your song in like these blocks. But I also do think like little overlapping things like this, where I'm bringing in this sound in the section before, can be really helpful to create like flow. So it's not jarring unless you want like a jarring effect. So yeah, so here's how I did this build sound. It's again just the same sound I was working off of. I don't even think I changed anything here. And I am just automating erosion, automating the frequency up. And yeah, this section is like, this is typically the way I'll write dance music stuff, is I will have like either an 8 or 16 bar intro, and then I'll have some kind of like out, right? So like all the drums will cut out, and either it'll be like quiet and go into a vocal, or it'll be like straight into chords, or like just something, but kind of like an epic moment, right? So it's like, ooh, we got this big transition, and then that leads into the build. Because again, like when you're thinking about dance tracks, I think it's all about motion, like where am I taking you and how am I carrying you there. Yeah, so I just have some like impacts. I kept it really simple. I think you totally can go like crazy, especially like with sound design and like making your own stuff, and that's really fun. And I do that for some tracks, but for things like Rave tools, when I just want to have fun and like make something danceable, samples are really useful. So I just have some cool like impact samples, some white noise risers. I made one riser myself. Yeah, and I've been over making your own effects in a different video. But you can just look quickly at what I did if you want. And you can see I've automated the pitch bend and the LFO rate. And for this build section, right, so I started to have this like drum out section. Yeah, and then that goes into my build, right? Because now I'm like building up the energy to like take you into the next stop. So builds, I just did really simple stuff. You know, I think it's all about understanding that like you're building tension and energy. So like pitching up is really good, like increasing volume is really good, like you start quieter, you start slower, you get faster, all these things to build intensity. And it doesn't just have to be your like standard snare roll and the kick getting faster. Like there's lots of different things. I have this riser here, I have some white noise, I do have a snare roll, but I don't even have a kick, you know, like there's lots of different ways to create intensity. I have my sub where they're pitching up, and then I have this little like bass effects that I made. I just wanted almost like a TikTok sound, which again like builds the intensity, right? Like that's all I was thinking about is like I want to get you excited. Yeah. And then a general rule of thumb, which like I totally don't follow, but I did hear, is like you want 32 bars total of like introduction before your drop. So you can see at 33 I have my first drop. But fuck the rules, like do whatever you want. Yeah, and then a lot of the times here, like right before the drop, just the last bar, I'll put a pre-drop, which is really useful for mixing too. Like if you're mixing in with the build, then it's a good place to cut for like dance music mixing, like da 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 da, bah, right? And it goes, I just want to jump when the beat go. So I think pre-drops are really useful. And I just recorded, I actually took it from a different song. I like recorded it for a different DJ tool that I'm never going to release. So I just grabbed it and did some OTT and Valhalla Room, which is a reverb that I really like. And pretty light there. Oops.
I just want to jump when the beat go.
Yeah. And I just have like little, like an impact and then my DJ tag or my producer tag.
I just want to jump when the beat go.
So that's how I thought about that intro stuff. And then for making drops, I did want to talk a little about like making drop sounds, but I think I have bad news because like the truth is, and I don't think this is only true for me, like in my experience with other producers too, like most of the times drop sounds, like especially the like screechy high ones, like it's totally different for like, I don't know, if you're like a seasoned bro step producer or something and you know you're gonna do like FM from B. But like most of the time it's literally just messing around until you make something cool. Like I knew I wanted to do a 4 on the floor, right? So it was easy to do a little like 4 on the floor pattern here with my kick. And then I have a little accent kick. And then I literally just took like a drum loop. And I have these little like top loops that I added later to like kind of keep motion. Some impacts. I think I had, well, I usually put white noise too, but I guess I didn't here. I really like a white noise drop for a drop. But like this sound, like my screechy sound, was honestly just messing around. So basically what I did, right, is I started with the single cycle wavetable and just like the default one. And I have some tricks that I know I like. So for example, if I want something that's atonal, like, you know, it doesn't really have like a pitch, then I'll modulate this coarse pitch right here. And that's how you get that effect of like, bee woo, bee woo. And also what you can do is you can hit always down here for the portamento. Portamento basically just means how it like goes in between notes. Like if it goes sharply, like one to the other, like ba ba. If it's like blah, right? Like glide basically. I hope that was helpful. It makes sense in my head. And if you hit always, it will glide even if the notes don't overlap. And then this is just the amount of time here. So that's a good way too to get a like bendy effect, which I think is really helpful for like this kind of drop sound. I did ring modulation. I know I like ring modulation or frequency modulation for drop sounds, because you get like an interesting kind of scratchy character. You can even listen. So that's with nothing, just modulating the coarse pitch. And that's with adding oscillator B, which means I'm adding the ring modulation and you're actually hearing the oscillator itself. And then the formant filter. And you can see I'm modulating the cutoff there. And then I just had some distortion, multiband compression, reverb. OTT always, and you can see I cut the lowest frequencies. Doubler. This is the Waves doubler. I just use, I think it's usually used for vocals. Like it gives the effect of like multiple takes. But I like the effect that it has for drop sounds because I think a lot of screechy drop sounds especially can lack like depth and body. So this fixes it to me. And then volume shaper to give it that rhythm. Yeah. So that's how I did that drop sound. And I would really say honestly, like you'd literally just have to mess around until something cool happens. Like I feel like I write an average of 4 drops before I find the one I like. So don't give up. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Let's see, what else? I have this bass, right, which is just a really simple bass. Oh gosh, where'd it go? Bass pattern. And I've gone over bass sound design before, and this is like kind of similar. You know, I just have this like wavetable that was taken from the Virus, which is a analog synth, and I put the unison up but turn the detune down, and I like to take random down usually. And it's just very simple, just multiband compression, and then really the reason that you're getting that effect is because of the pattern, so it's very short, and then the volume shaper on it makes it go like this, so it ducks for the kick. And that's pretty much it. You know, I have another build, another drop where things change a little bit. I'll play you that. So I just, again, worked off of the same original drop sound and messed with it. I like pitched it down. I added some additional percussion, like some claps, a crash. You know, just these little things to like create motion and like progression, right? So like I've moved forward while still having some like consistency with the first drop. Yeah, and you can even do, I wanted to tell you a cool trick is if you're really having trouble, it's okay to just work off of the first drop for your second. So what you can do is do Command Shift D, and that will duplicate that time, right? So all I did was select the whole first drop, and then I can do Command Shift X to cut it, and then I can go all the way up here to my very, very top row and do Command Shift V and paste that time, right? So now I have like my exact first drop, but I can mess with all that stuff, right? So I could like duplicate this sound, my drop sound, and have it down here, and then work on that. And I just thought that was like a good tool that I don't know if people know. So I hope that's helpful. What else? Oh, and then I just wanted to say, like, I think that's something that's really important to think about because, like, dance music, like, it can be very repetitive. Like, little things, I think, go a long way, right? Like, I think if you repeat anything 4 to 8 times, it's just going to be boring. So you always want to have just little things in between to move it forward, right? So first I have this impact, then I added these like hat things, right? And then I put some like woos in, and I have this little perk effects to like bring it in. And little changes like that, I think, are one of the things that take your songs from like sounding amateur to more professional and finished. So I'd say thinking about like percussion, thinking about effects, thinking about movement and like how it changes is going to be really useful. So I just wanted to put that out there because I've noticed it with like some earlier producers. Think about the details, you know, like get your foundation down, but then go in and just don't be afraid to add like little fills or like do a little pitch bend here, like change a couple notes like in one section. Because you're going to get so much out of like these little changes. So those are the basics of how I made this track. It's honestly really, really simple. I didn't even do anything crazy for mastering. I like to use this Nugent mono filter, which just brings your low end information to center. And then just an invisible limiter, which is my favorite limiter. Make sure you have oversampling high. And then I use this visualizer just to check my mix. Yay! So I hope that was helpful. Let me know what else you want to learn. And don't forget you can download this track today for free. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye.